and welcome to my channel. My name is Sash and I am an artist and life coach. Today we're going to look at the Prima watercolors, the Decadent pies, and what you're seeing on the screen is all the things that I'm using to swatch and learn about this set. So currently this is the unboxing, really nicely wrapped. What I really enjoyed was as we zoom in and out, finding out that they had the names on the back. So that was peach cobbler. There's some really interesting ones. Unwrapping them was always like unwrapping any watercolor set or pan set, just like little presents. It does have a number on the pan as well as on the back of the wrapping, so that you're able to see which one you're looking at without having to write out the names, which were fairly interesting. Things like pistachio cream and many others. I must say right off the bat that the set was one that I longed to look at for quite a while now. I had it in my set for quite a while as well, but what I liked about it is there was a little bit of shimmer. So the top row had mostly a lot of shimmer in the paint itself. I wouldn't say glitter paint, but it does have a bit of shimmer. Then the second row was the normal sort of paints that we have. Now, I must say the packaging said that this was artist quality watercolors, and I would say that it's not the normal off-the-shelf student grade watercolors, but I would argue with that. Now it gives you this nice little insert where you're able to map back the colors to the numbers here. So you would have seen the numbers on the pan in an earlier point. Now what I quite liked about this is that you do just have the numbers, so you don't have to get caught up in it. And what you're seeing on the screen is me putting down a dark black line so that I could see which paints are transparent and which ones aren't. Now, some artists don't like to go through this, but I do. And the reason for that is I find that transparent watercolor paints are what I'm looking for in watercolor. They're easy to move across the page. They have that luminosity that you're looking for. And having said that, it's not a requirement that they be transparent, but it's definitely desirable for me. So the pen I'm using for this is the Sakura Micron archival black ink pens. That's a terrible shot right there, but why I'm using that is because it's water fast, so it means that when we put on the paint on that black line, it won't smudge as some pens do, and you have to be quite careful of that. So the next shot I've actually sped up about 400%, and it's just me swatching out the colors, writing out the colors rather, of what the names are, because I just thought that they were beautiful names and I was happy to keep them. So just getting all the names down, looking at the little wrappings. I was so glad that I kept the wrappings on this one. Some really nice names coming through there, like key lime, banana cream, pecan. So this palette itself, when we do the swatching, you'd be able to see it's a lovely autumn palette. So there's a lot of oranges, warm tones. You'd be quite surprised to see that there's one green and two blues in this palette. There we go. We've got a good shot of which ones they are. White mocha, Earl Grey, pecan, as I mentioned before, blueberry, blackberry. Now, I must say that on the packaging itself versus swatching out the colors do look a little bit different, but we'll see that in another shot. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually wetting the paints. When I opened each of them, what I realized quite quickly is that the paints are quite dry, so it doesn't give me the sense of say Winsor Newton or some others where you feel like it's been poured in. I think it feels like it's been baked in, which is right or not, but I got a sense that you'd need water to activate the paints in order to start swatching them, which I did here. And as we go through the paints, you'll be able to see the different colors. Now, a lot of people feel that they don't need white in a palette because you're using the white of the paper, but this is a lovely creamy white with a bit of shimmer in it. This Earl Grey color was very hard to activate. I did have a lot of trouble actually just getting it off the paint pan and onto the paper. The next one was a beautiful gold that just came out of the pan quite quickly. Then we have a bit of a red. This tan color it was okay. It wasn't as bad as the Earl Grey in order to get it out of the pan, but it was one of the drier paints. And I think that overall, that's the challenge that I had with the set, is that some of them were quite easy to re-wet and quite easy to use, whereas others were very hard and they needed a bit of coaxing to get onto the paintbrush and onto the paper. I'm doing a full swatch of the colors later, and in that video you'll see it actually took some time because of that to get it on the paint. Now these last two blues are really great blues, and that particularly the last one, I think it's blueberry, is very a great color because it's so vibrant. It looks a little bit out of place next to the rest of the colors. Blackberry definitely looks like it's in place, but blueberry doesn't. Later on in the video, I do give you a bit of a swatch through to see when it's dried what these colors actually do look like. That Earl Grey, once you get it onto your paintbrush and onto the paper, it does actually look like a lovely grey clouded color, which I think is fantastic. Now we're moving into the next section, which is really how do you color sort? So how do you ensure that the colors you have on the pan, getting the length and breadth of what colors are available to you. And you might have seen a couple of YouTubers use this method, but it's basically making sure that you've mixed each color with the other colors in the palette. It's a bit of a lengthy process. Some people like to do 2 rounds of this so that you actually end up with a square instead of a triangle. I don't really have the patience, but I would like to get to know the set better, because something, as I do this exercise, something I'm starting to learn is some sets are better for some things than others. Like I mentioned, the oranges, just the range of oranges you can get from this watercolor set is really amazing. It does take some time, and it is an exercise that I would recommend if you're watching a movie or you're catching up on a series. Just have your screen open there and start going through this process. Again, with the Sakura micron pen, so what I do is I like to swatch out these pan sets, and then when I've done this color mixing chart, I add it to a biro or a binder in order to just have it as reference going forward. So if I'm looking to start a new piece or I'm planning out a new piece, I can quite quickly see what paint palettes I have and what colors I'm able to mix from them. So here I'm just making the dark lines again in a waterproof pen, the Sakura micron pens. You would see this on YouTube. They've become very popular, and the reason for that is because they really don't smudge as much as others. I think the only time I've seen them smudge is when I've just applied it on the paper and then put down water immediately. But even then, the lead time to swatching the lead time to it sort of blending out is quite short. So here you can see we've got 12 by 12 block here, which is what we're looking for. And I've just actually skipped a bit here to say, well, for the whites, I've mixed the white with every other color in the pan set, and that's what you're getting here. So the beginning, the benefit of this is that in the beginning you're swatching one color against the rest of the paints in the pan, which can take some time. But once you get to the end, it goes much faster, which is good, because by the end of this, you are looking to end as quickly as you can. When you looked at the video in the beginning, you would have seen that I used a porcelain plate. So it's not a porcelain plate, sorry, excuse me, it's a ceramic plate. The reason why I use that is because I noticed that if you are swatching out colors on a metal tin pan, even once you use the trick of using toothpaste to get it to stop beading, doesn't help. So there you can get a bit of a view, or you had a bit of a view there of how we get the paint to pool on that palette. Just looking at the colors on the screen, that Earl Grey color, on its own, it's a lovely cloudy color, but it's not a beautiful silver, as I would say. It's rather a cloudy grey with a sheen in it. And what you can see is in the first column, if you look right to the bottom, blue. I think that's where it becomes a little bit, that blue stands out a bit more against the other colors you're able to mix here. Now, a lot of these colors in the beginning are a bit muted, and I think that's part of the shine in it. So I've got a close-up view of the end process here, where we look at the sheen, how it comes out onto the paper, etc. That blue at the bottom is a lovely blue. Here we go. We've got some good looks here. And again, I've skipped through it and I've sped up this video quite a bit in order for you to see what this looks like quite quickly. But it does take about, I would say, 2 hours to get this process done and to make sure that you've looked at each of them. So this is what the card looks like when it's been dried. And the color will differ slightly with any watercolor set when it's wet versus when it's dry. That blackberry blue is absolutely stunning. So this is the end of the set. Banana cream is a surprisingly nice color, and the pecan, even though it looks really dark in the pan, it's really light on the paper and it's great warm brown. So that was the video for today. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this, and that if you have the set, I'd be keen to hear what you think. But until the next video, bye for now.